game week, coming off the bye. I thought our team took care of what we needed to take care of. We did a good job of self-scouting ourselves, cleaning up what we needed to clean up, and making the most of an opportunity to heal up a little bit. I think this football team is continuing to get better. It's that time of the season where you got to grab everything there is to grab, and that's exactly what this football team is doing. Our opponent this week, South Carolina, is a good football team. Coach Muschamp, whom I've got a lot of respect for as a defensive coach, but more so, what he's done in his career. He continues to build teams, defenses, and that can take away the football, and that's exactly what they do. They take away the football. They're a tough, physical football team, who has playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and that can score at any time. And this ball game is going to be a tough ball game. And we're going to head to William Brice Stadium and play in Columbia, and that's not an easy place to play. When you look at their fan base, one of the best fan bases in the country in terms of the energy that they bring for their team, what they do. I'm sure he's going to have his team ready to play. It's a home game for them, and I know this much. Looking at their staff, and I know a lot of guys on that staff. Javaris Robinson, defense coordinator. He's done a good job of building a stingy defense, man, that knows how to take the football away. That's what they do. That's who they are. Up front, man, they got one of the best, D tackles in the country in Ken Law, and when you look at Wanham, they can rush the passer. That's what they do. They stop the run, and they work hard to get you off the field on third down, and that's what we're up against, offensively. And when you look at us defensively, man, we've got things to deal with on the other side of the ball. Helinski's, continuing to find, his footing. But when you lean on a run game, and that features, man, a bevy of running backs. You look at, Rico Dowdle, and then you look at, what they're doing right now with Feaster. Then that Denson, they got guys that can run the football. And so anytime you have the ability to run, and you've got wideouts like Edwards, and you understand, what these guys can do. And they can beat you outside with Edwards, they can beat you in the slot. And in terms of their speed and ability to get down the field, they got playmakers all over the place. So for us, it's going to be a game where we got to be, smart, play smart, and do our jobs, and get ready to play a good football team. And I think that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to be a good football team ourselves.
You said after the last game, moving Tarver upstairs helped the defense some. There were some other things that did personnel-wise. When you look back at the film, anything else jump out to you about why the pressure was so good in that game?
Guys doing their job. We can talk about it, until we're blue in the face. But what I believe is that when you tackle, you got a chance. When you utilize your abilities and tools, to try to stay in your gap and work hard, to control the line of scrimmage. It's a line of scrimmage game, and in this conference, man, you got to be able to tie rush and coverage together, and it all starts with your ability to play tough against the run, and then be able to get off the field on third down, and then the other situations sort of follow. So, like for me, again, we spent last week working on us, and we looked at the South Scout. Touched on a little bit of South Carolina, but Sunday started South Carolina, and that's exactly where we are today. So we understand how we need to play, and what we need to do, and what we got to do is maximize the opportunities, now, day by day. Started with a good Tuesday practice, and we're in there grading the film now and making sure that we can clean up some things so we can look to move to Wednesday.
When you talked to Jason after the game, and he talked about seeing the game from upstairs as opposed to being on the field, were there any things that he said were particularly helpful about a different vantage point?
Nothing that I didn't know already or that he didn't know already. It's about being able to call a game with clarity. And I think sometimes just when you're on the field and you got a lot of things going on and you're trying to make adjustments and trying to do a lot of different things, man, you can sometimes become the master of none. Truly. You see a lot of things, but at the end of the day, and trusting your guys down on the field, and I thought that's what worked. And he saw what he saw. He was able to get it to Mark Mattioli and the assistants downstairs, and we were able to make some sideline adjustments, and that's what we know about football. Football's an adjustment game.
What's the decision on the quarterback? Is that wait and see? What's the situation there?
Just wait and see. Man, we're practicing, full speed ahead. Man, we've got, Mo in protocol, and what we do is, continue to practice, and let's just continue to make sure, man, we move forward.
When Mo came here out of Coffeyville, you already knew he would be in as a backup. I think with Deuce was suspended that year. What did you see in him at Coffeyville that said this guy could come in and fill that role as a backup to Shermer?
Well, man, before that, I did a little homework. I mean, he was at Syracuse with Dino Babers, man, before that. And so, and I've got a relationship with Dino, and me and Dino had a chance to talk about, what we were getting. And I mean, we thought it was a good fit. A guy who had been in a Division I program, who had been through the junior college ranks and played junior college football at Coffeyville, which is a top-notch junior college. And, for us, his demeanor, his intelligence, his calmness, but really more so than his ability to compete, I thought was something that could help us. And a year ago, I mean, we utilized him, as much as we could as he was learning the system, because, really for him, it was a change from what he was doing at Coffeyville.
You've run kind of I'll say a different offense, but it was more run-based with him in there. He didn't get a chance to get, I guess, a lot of reps in August, and certainly not in spring. How much has that helped him getting a lot more practice reps and getting used to maybe doing things differently than you might with another QB?
Well, we have crossover reps, offense, defense, good on good, and Mo was able to take a lot of those reps and they're still running the offense. So I think for him, those it's about a cumulative investment. And granted, I mean, he may not get every rep of what we do, much like the one or the two, but when he got enough cumulative reps, whether it be camp, whether it be in those crossover periods over a 7-week period to help us understand exactly where he was. He was well pronounced when we were able to sit in meetings and talk about read progressions and what he could do, and what you try to do is play to the strengths of the guy that's under center, and so that's exactly what we did. But for him, he understands where we sit today, and what we continue to do is make sure that whether it's Mo or whether it's anybody else, the person under center knows how to utilize the weapons around him, because again, I mean, this offense isn't just about the quarterback. It's about like how do we give ourselves the best opportunity to get our ball or to get the ball to playmakers.
Your offense has the second fewest turnovers in the SEC, about 10 or 15, I think, in the country. Having changed quarterbacks a few times, you would expect the turnovers to be high. What do you think's been the secret there that you guys have been so good in lack of turnovers?
Well, we preach ball security. I mean, that's when you look at it, that's the running backs have been pretty good at holding on to the football, and I think that's key. I think that's one of Coach Jordan's pet peeves about taking the football. I mean, if you're going to handle the football, I mean, you got to make sure, okay, man, you start with it, you end with it, and that's sort of how we practice. I think our defense is always ball searching the football, and I think that helps too. And it's hard to have bad ball security when you're constantly being graded on how you protect the football. It's our football, it's a team game, and we've got to make sure we take care of it. For the quarterback position, you've had quarterbacks in there. Every once in a while you're going to have an errant decision, but I think what you got to do is continue to take what the defense gives you. I think that's part of it too. You're greedy when you need to be greedy, but for the most part, again, you can't go broke taking a profit. So if it's 7 or 8 yards, take the 7 or 8 yards. If it's an opportunity to get it down the field, then let's make sure we do that. And in ball games, you got to be able to do both.
Did you feel like you guys maybe threw Missouri off balance more with some of the blitzes and the coverages and things that you did than you've maybe done in previous games?
I thought at times we were able to create some confusion. That's what it looked like. Looking at primaries and having to go to secondaries, I think that's part of what you need to do. But with that being said, I gotta give, credit to those kids. I thought they did a really good job. Student athletes, they did a good job of, lining up, not giving away, everything that we were doing, in pre-snap and being able to get to landmarks and spots. But, when it comes down to it, you gotta make sure that you don't let, disguise get you off your job too. So let's make sure we do that.
Well, the other thing, you didn't let Bryant beat you with his feet. Of course, mobility was an issue with Ole Miss. What were the keys to improving against a running quarterback the last time out?
You know what, lane integrity, doing your job. A lot of times, again, I know we wanna make it out like there's something mystical and mysterious about playing football. I truly believe everybody's got a job to do, and every player's got a tough down, and the tough down sometimes is just doing your job. You gotta be able to stay in your lane. You gotta be able to stay backside when you're a backside force contained player. You gotta be able to play top down when that's your job. You gotta be able to play in the middle of the field when that's your job, and you gotta be able to get the ball on the ground. And when those things have been what we've been preaching, but it's about doing what's asked of you. It's about actions. It's not about words. And we can sit there and talk about it until we're blue in the face, but until you actually start to get some intentional action on some of that, and it becomes hard. And once guys start to get it, I think they understand exactly what you're asking for.
As you're preparing against this defense this
Yes.
week, how do you know or think what you can do against them with their performances kind of all over the place? Against Georgia, they look great on the road, played great against Tennessee this past week. A lot of the same things they did so well against Georgia, they really didn't look great against Tennessee. So how do you know what you think you can do against this defense?
Every week's a new week. And in this game, I think what you got to do is you gotta look at their strengths. Everybody's got strengths. Everybody's got weaknesses. This defense is a defense, man, that gives you problems, and it starts up front. I mean, they're good up front. I mean, they've got two of the best interior players in the conference, and they got a guy in one who can get after you. So for us, I think it's very important that we're smart. We understand who we are. And we try to take advantage of the things that we see, but let's not beat ourselves. And in ball games like this, what happens is that you get caught trying to do too much. And so with this, we're just gonna make sure, man, we stay the course. Not gonna panic. You gotta go into a hostile environment. You gotta play a good football team who knows how to get after you and get you behind the chains, and you gotta try to stay out of those situations.
2 or 3 more questions.
You feel like you guys are refreshed, refocused after that bye weekend for the stretch run?
Yeah, I look at our football team, and they came to practice on Sunday, and it was a vibrant practice. It wasn't a typical practice. It wasn't just running around in shorts for a stretch. It was actually a 65-minute practice, and we were able to get quality work done. So that was good. They came back on a Tuesday with good energy, good focus. It's not losses on Tuesday. I mean, anytime you have a mistake, what you're looking for is learning lessons, and that's what we got to do. Man, we got to take what we learned today and make sure we move it, really to tomorrow. And that's what I want from this team. This team's got to do a better job of being, one-take players, one-take units. Okay, man, you line up and you play football. If you make a mistake, we correct it, and you try not to make the same mistake twice.
Any more questions? Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate you.
guys.
We have 2 student athletes here, guys. Wide receiver